gotta be okay with failing originally, just because you got to play the long game, bro. You got to think in decades, not like weeks, not in days, bro. Like you can't be thinking like, oh, this video did well today, let me do that for the next. No. You got to think like, in 10 years, what I want to be doing. Okay, let's work back from there.
Welcome to the Root of Everything podcast, where we interview passionate people that have found success doing what they love to do. Today we got a big guest in the building, Dan Sarmiento. I had to make sure I said it right today.
Crushed it.
One of the biggest baseball content creators out here. I'm glad we were able to get a hold of you. Kind of introduce yourself, tell them who you are, and I'm excited to have you once we get into it.
Dude, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking earlier. We've been following each other for like 2 years or something like that. It's been crazy. But yeah, I'm Dan Sarmiento. I do mostly baseball content. We're starting to do a little, start a little football, a little basketball here and there. But I'm a baseball player at heart, so like that's kind of my thing. But yeah, man, I live in Los Angeles, California, and I do YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that kind of stuff. We just kind of explore the baseball world in new ways. It's kind of like my mission statement, sort of. But again, like I'm a big football, basketball fan, so I definitely want to lean into that a little bit as it's like football season. But yeah, man, that's me.
Gotcha. So we're going to get into it. And I'll just say, if you're listening to this, I think it's going to be a powerful one for anybody to think about the transitions after school, doing something you're passionate about. That's all Root of Everything's about. But we're going to dive deep into your story so we can kind of learn about how you were able to get to this point where I think, in my opinion, you're revolutionizing the game of baseball. You're inspiring people to actually play. One of the things, it's funny, I started playing baseball as a kid, and then I majored in sports management. And one of my main things was, what I thought my career would be was, I want to get younger kids to play ball again. Now I don't do that anymore, but it's just inspiring to see you doing what you're doing. But to start off, first question I always ask, what would you define as your passion? And what would you define success in your life as?
Oh, man. So my passion, I think, it's really like storytelling and making videos, like just making my ideas come to life through video and editing. I still edit all my own stuff. So it's like I just love the craft of like scripting a video, thinking about something, and then going in and filming it, getting that shot where you're like, oh, I got like the rush you get when you got the shot. And then you come back and I edit it and I make it look cool and whatever, and then posting it and then getting the response where people are like, oh, that was dope. That whole process, I'm just in love with that, bro. And like YouTube is like perfect for that. I love the short form stuff. I love Instagram. I love TikTok because it's like fun. You can like experiment with new things and broaden like the funnel, I guess, of who can see your stuff. But like long form video, long form conversation, that stuff is just like my favorite, bro. And I just like, that's what fires me up. That's just like, I love it. And then sports. So like mixing that with like baseball was my real first passion for a sport, but also the other sports too. I'm just such a avid fan of the sports world, bro. I just love it. And like, my thing is like sports are like, dude, they're like the best metaphor for like life.
Microcosm of life,
bro.
man.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and when I started thinking about it through that perspective, I was like, damn, like there's so many stories to tell. Like there's so much going on in sports, and it's like it can dig into so many different pockets of like humanity, and like everybody can get sports. Like, hey, one team wins, one team loses. That's it. You got to adjust to that.
Teamwork, all that stuff.
Dude,
that's
so
life.
much, bro. It's life, bro. So that's what really fires me up, making videos and talking about sports and making videos about sports.
And then what would you define as your definition of success?
Dude, I've been trying to figure it out recently because I've had a lot of amazing growth over the last like year. Like I was looking at my stats last night or 2 nights ago, and I was talking to Leo, who's like my partner, who we do all our work with together. And, I was just looking at YouTube. I'm like, bro, last year we were at like this time 15K, 17K or something like that. Like it was like, and I was getting like 5,000 views a video on YouTube. And then over the year, we were just like grinding, trying to make stuff happen. And now I'm at like 150K, averaging anywhere from like 50 to 200, 300,000 views. Like it's crazy, but it like, I got to take a step back and realize but like if we can just love the process and like make a career out of like doing the stuff that we love to do, which is making videos about sports, like that's success. But with that said, it's hard not to care about the numbers and stuff.
Facts. Yeah. And I think that's it. Like I think one of the things I take from your videos is authenticity. A lot of people miss out on having this amount of quote unquote success numerically because they were worried about that in the beginning. Like I can tell from you, it's like this dude really loves baseball. Like I don't think you can influence people to love baseball if you don't love baseball yourself. And so I think that's beautiful. And now you have this large community. What was the origin story like? Take us back to like were you always creating content, and then what propelled you to now be someone that's doing that full time? Like,
Dude.
what was the origin story?
Yeah, man. Like, it's funny when I look back on it because I'm like, damn, I've been doing this forever. Like in smaller scales, but like I've been doing it since I was like 10 or 11 years old. I started like filming videos on like my parents' iPad and like making. I think my first YouTube channel was, I think it was in 2013 or 2014. So I was 11. I was 10 or 11, which is crazy. And I was just posting videos of like my cat and my dog because like I would just like I didn't know what to post. I just know I wanted to post stuff on YouTube because all my favorite creators, I started making, loving these people who I didn't even know who were just making videos, and I was like, damn, this is so cool. I just want to be a part of it. So eventually I started doing that, and then shifted to like Madden. Like I love video games, like Madden Mobile and all that was like my favorite, bro. I loved it.
Funny story, not to cut you off. High school, I made about $1,000 off of Madden Mobile
coins and stuff.
Because I learned how to bid on players and like snipe. Yeah, bro. That's a whole nother But yeah, keep going.
Man,
though.
like those dudes like MMG and those guys. Like I would watch every video of them, and I was 14, 15, so I was kind of looking up to them as like like it's kind of like it's a weird relationship because you're like feels like this dude's kind of like an older brother sort of thing.
Exactly
and I'm
what
like,
you mean.
This dude's really cool. So I would watch all these guys' videos, but then I also want to be like them too. So anyway, I started doing Madden Mobile stuff, and then baseball started becoming like a bigger part of my life. Like I was training, I wanted to play like college baseball. That was like my big goal.
At what point did you want to play college baseball?
Man, I'm thinking like freshman year or
high school,
like 7th, 8th grade. I think I was still in the zone of just like playing for fun. I just loved it. And then I started being like, I hit my like a growth spurt, and I was like kind of a bit better than most of my peers, which made it more fun because I was like, oh, I'm throwing harder and whatever. It was like, it just made me enjoy the game. And then I learned about the process of like training and like, plyos and J-bands and all that stuff that comes into being a pitcher. And I just fell in love with it. So I don't know. I think I just, around like freshman year, I was like, man, I want to play D1. Like I want to be a D1 athlete. So I fell in love with that stuff, and then started tracking like my progress. Once COVID happened with junior year, started tracking like my road to 90 was like my thing. Like I would be like my training every day, my lifting routine, all that kind of stuff. I think junior year, and I shifted more to baseball. And then ever since then, like I did a podcast for a bit, I did vlogs and all that kind of stuff, and then slowly kind of shifted, found my format to be more like broad appealing baseball content, I guess is how I describe it now. But
got you. Yeah. Were there any like moments where you became more aware of this being a possibility? Like, was there any shocking moments, or were there any moments maybe you were playing baseball, maybe it's like, okay, maybe I'm not going to do this, even if you go pro, whatever, like everybody has a realization of like, well, I'm not going to do this forever. You know what I mean? Were there any moments in that journey that like made you aware of, I really love making content, or this is a possibility for me?
Bro, my senior year of high school, like I was done with baseball. I don't want to see a baseball. I don't want to touch a baseball. I was just like pissed off. Like I was just burnt out. I worked so hard to like, and I was seeing these people around me like who were half-assing everything, throwing harder than me, coming into these schools, and I was just like, oh, this is unfair. Like this is stupid. Whatever. So I got over that, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have fun now. Like I don't like forget it, bro. Like I'm gonna go to this school. I went to a post-grad school. It was Bridgeton Academy up in Maine. So instead of doing my freshman year of college, I was up here with just like, it was a 200-person, all guys, all athletes school in Maine. So like all you can do is work, like and grind and whatever, and like lift. So like that's what I did. I leaned into that and just made that kind of like my lifestyle. I was like, I'm gonna lift, I'm gonna vlog, and because I love making videos, I'll do the game day vlogs because my coach was all in it. He's like, do whatever you want to do, whatever, film the dugout, all that kind of stuff. He was super, open about it, and I just had fun with it. And then I committed to a school out here, a D2 school, and I was like, I don't care. Do you want to do whatever? I want to be in California. Yeah, man. And then once I just opened my perspective to like, let's make videos and let's have fun playing baseball, like stuff started to kind of connect. I remember I had like 3,000 or 4,000 subs. I was still up in Bridgeton, and I messaged Tyke Green, who's like, he was a co-founder of Momentum, which is Trevor Bauer's whole media company. Now Tyke actually lives out here and does his kind of own production company. But I remember saying like, yo, I kind of want to, like, I want to work for Momentum. I want to be with like Eric Sim and those guys. And he was like, dude, like you could do that, but also you should try to build it yourself. And like, cause he's like, you got something that like a lot of people don't have, where you're like, I can be on camera, but I can also edit. I can also come up with ideas. Full pack. I appreciate that. Yeah. But like full package, like that, but that's just what I love to do. I just love the whole process. Like I was saying. So Tyke was like, dude, build it yourself. And then maybe you could work for Momentum.
Maybe like you already blew up before.
Yeah. Right. Like that was the thing. And then I'm collaborating with them. They're peers now. Like Eric Sim, like me and Leo were literally out to ice cream with like the Bat Bros and Eric Sim the other night or the other week in Arizona. Like it was just, I was looking around this table. I'm like, bro, that's King of Juco there. Like this is so weird. We're just at ice cream. Like it was so funny. So like, and that was just from, like hard work and kind of like iterating and reiterating and just like learning what works and what doesn't work and all that stuff. And now I'm kind of doing it on my own, which I kind of like more because I was never one of those people who could like fit in a company or fit in like a normal structure. So like I once I recognized that about myself, I was like, I'm just gonna be the best at being like doing what I'm doing on my own kind of thing.
And I think it's so important, that awareness piece. Like I think I knew like my sophomore, junior year of college, it was like, yo, I can't work for somebody. Like I can in a means to get to the point where I can, but I think it's an important element for anybody figuring out what they want to do to have that self-awareness. Like I think especially as a creative person, like it would hurt me to do creative work for somebody else and I have another idea and they say no, And so I think that's a very important piece you should value about yourself. The fact you were that aware of that, like, allowed you to get here. And the fact that they said no. Like, I think in life, we can get pissed off about certain stuff, but like sometimes failure is or not even a failure, a rejection is our best redirection.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was just like, it's kind of cool to hear like you had that no that propelled you to where you're supposed to be. And so I also want to kind of ask you about, as baseball players, or athletes in general, we're always thinking about, baseball, but there's this point where we're all going to have to redirect. And I think as entrepreneurs, as creatives, there's a leap of faith we all have to take. Like there's this moment in time where it's like now or never. I know I had that when I quit my job about a year ago and I had this big old offer sheet. My family was saying you'd be stupid not to take it. You have the whole world telling you what you want to do is wrong. Was there a moment like that for you, and what was that like?
Yeah, it's funny you said that. Yeah, like I remember when I had like whatever. I go by subscribers because that's when I can kind of like tell where I was in my career or whatever. I was probably 8,000 subscribers, something. It was like June or July, and Leo and I. It was when Leo and I first connected in person, or second time we connected in person, and we were going out to collab with Sim. Like Eric Sim was like, "Yo, Jabronis, come out to the facility, throw live to me, whatever." And we're like, "Oh, this is like crazy."
And y'all were just at 8K at this point.
8K,
right?
yeah. He was just like, he just saw a few of my videos or something. I was doing better on like shorts and stuff, so he probably saw like the reels or whatever. And I was like, "Oh my god, this is crazy." So I did that, went out there, filmed it, did amazing, and like I saw good growth and followers, whatever. But the biggest thing was like, Sim was like, "Dude, don't stop, like keep going." And then Cole, the guy, Cole who works there, Tosh who works there, they're all like, "Yo, you guys got something, like just keep going. Like don't think you guys got something that other people don't have." So that gave me so much motivation. And so I came home and I was like, man, I don't think I'm going to play college baseball. Because at this point I was going to be a freshman at Azusa Pacific, good program, but like.
So you had already committed?
I was committed at this point. I was right after Bridgeton. So like it was the summer going into like my freshman year of college. And for me, it was like, dude, I wasn't really loving the training and like obsessing over that. Cause like I kind of found the real thing I wanted to obsess over, which was like growing my social medias and stuff. So I remember I told my parents, I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to play baseball. Like I made a slideshow. I was like, look, this is my presentation. This is what the next 6 months are going to look like. And my dad was like, "You're not going to college." Like, "No, I'm not paying for this." Like, he was so pissed because I was like, I didn't want to play baseball. He's like, "You work so hard. We spent all that money to send you up to a post-grad school. Like, why are you giving up now?" And my mom was like all crying and stuff. Like, "Oh, you're giving," like, because they just want to see me play baseball. And they thought I was like sabotaging my path. But for me, I saw like, nah, like this is actually a way more valuable path. They couldn't see it yet. A lot of people couldn't see it yet, but like me, Leo, our boy Tony, Cam, like we all saw it. Like we knew we were building something, and that's all we wanted to do too. So we're just like, let's lean into it. So yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that. Pretty much it was just like
a leap of faith.
Yeah, leap of faith, bro. Like my parents were like, no. And then finally I convinced my dad. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go to school and do my work, whatever. I ended up not doing that. I just had to get out to California. Yeah. So I had to like tell a little white lie to get out here, but it worked out now. So we're okay now. But yeah, that was like, it's tough to have like my parents telling me like, no, you're ruining it. You're like sabotaging it, whatever. And like, they're just trying to do what's best for me. And they want me to play the safe game, whatever, which is understandable. Like I'd probably want my kid to do the same, but at some point you got to trust yourself and trust your gut. And, luckily it's worked out to this point.
And I think it's all about, because I think that's a situation a lot of people have dealt with, I've dealt with. It's one, understanding like the position your parents are in. Like their judgment is clouded because their number one priority is, I need Dan to be okay. Like I don't care if all this. I need him to have a roof over his head and be okay, And then it's also like literal investment they put into you. Like I've seen buddies like they're like, Jamar, I know I'm done with baseball, but my parents I played select ball my whole life. Like I have to play college ball, and I'm like, dude, but this is your life. Number one thing, it's funny. I say that every speech, and I'm like, the only person that got to see the vision is the one dreaming the vision, And it's like, I'm glad you saw it enough to go for it, And it's like for me, I remember sitting in my nice apartment in DC, and I'm making this decision. I had like 30 minutes to decide. And my main thing was not just me, my lifestyle. It's like, what about the kid that's going to watch my video 2 years from now that needed to see my video? Mm-hmm. Am I really going to not give him that because I'm just afraid of disappointing my parents for a couple years? Because at the end of the day, I bet your parents are so proud of you now.
Bro, right? That's the thing. It was like, I was like, you guys don't see it yet, but just wait. Just give me like 6 months, 8 months, whatever. They're like, oh my God, whatever. They thought it would just be some something where I'm just like, no, give me another 6. But I was like, no, I'm doing this. Like we're actually doing this. And it was slow and steady. Mm-hmm. And like, I look back at the content I was making a year ago and I cringe because I'm like, that wasn't that good, mm-hmm. but it was better than the content I was making a year before that. So mm-hmm. It was like, you just gotta like, keep going, bro. Like, and for you, same thing. It's like you see it where it's just like you have to just keep building upon day by day, step by step. And it sounds cliche, but it's like it's really just the truth. It's just the point blank. Like it's just anyone who's successful will tell you the same thing.
Yep. And it's like for me, like I did like it's funny. It's the same thing. Like my parents were like, "What are you doing?" Like I moved back in with my parents. That was my thing. And I was like, "Just let me do. Like just give me a year." Like I just said, "Give me a year." And now they're like sometimes my dad would sit there and I'm like flying from city to city, and I'm like, man, you did it. Like he'll just be sitting there like, dang, you did it. Like I'm just like, yeah, I saw this whole thing before you saw it. But you got to be able to take that leap of faith.
It's funny they're saying you did it though, because you're probably like not even close to where you want to be. Like you're not even like you're like you got from 0 to 1, and they're like, damn, you got from 0 to 1.
But it's like
and they see that as success, in which it is. It's like for same it's success, but like we're like just I want to do so much more. Like you probably want to do so much bigger stuff. So it's like you can't get clouded with like, oh, I'm successful. Like, nah, bro, let's build bigger. Like,
and that's why I start the podcast with how do you define success? Because you can get clouded by other people's definition of success. Like I could very easily like do half days every day. Mm-hmm. Reach out to a couple of schools, go speak at schools, but like no, like when you really are passionate about it, there's no limit. And that's what I see with you is like me and you both, like I listen to a lot of people on social media. It's like we're still babies, like we're freaking we're toddlers.
Like Gary V's always saying that. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he's right.
But I'll listen to it. I'm like, I'm a freaking toddler, and I have the foundation set. You know what I'm saying? Just imagine where me and you will be. Well, we just talked about it 2 years ago. Where were we? You know what I mean? And now we're here. Mm-hmm. And the thing about compounding success is like it's only going to multiply. It's not going to go up one step, but it comes from the every single day, one step at a time, you know? So it's pretty powerful. The next thing I would ask is kind of like a question for the person on the other side that's maybe an athlete that's struggling to figure out what they're going to do post sports. What would your advice be to any athlete to think about, or advice to make the right decisions life after sports?
Well, dude, it's so tough because it's like, for me, like, you know how it is when you're an athlete, like that's your personality trait, bro. Like you're hanging out with all your boys who are athletes. You're watching videos online about athletes. You're planning your week around your training schedule. It's like, that is what you do. But everyone has something else. Everybody has another passion. Even if you don't know yet, everyone kind of has something. Cause like as humans, we're so like multifaceted. Like there's different things. So for me, it took a while to realize that like, oh, like when I was 10 years old, what did I want to do? Oh, I just wanted to make videos on YouTube and like play basketball outside with my friends and like, hang out with people that I like. So I was like thinking back to that younger kid, and I'm like, damn, I was really just setting myself up for what I want to do now as an older person, because it's like what you do when you're younger pretty much tells you what you want to do when you're older. It's crazy, but like it's just that's naturally the way it is, man. So like, like it's for someone out there who's like worried or questioning, like, oh, like, maybe they're like a junior, senior in college. They're like, damn, I don't really want to go into finance. Like I'm not passionate about finance. Maybe you're passionate about making money, but like, you're not passionate about finance or whatever it is. You just got to like really dig deep and kind of like be like, what at 15 years old would I be like, aside from being a big leaguer, what would I have been like so happy with being? What would I have been like, oh my God, this is the dream life. Because I think everybody's got that thing. Everyone's got something. It's just like takes a while to get there, and sometimes like your brain might just tell you like no, like it's you can't be whatever it is. Like you just don't have the tools to be it. But like you got to build your own kind of tools, and that's again sounds cliche, but it's the truth. Like you just gotta like build upon it every single day. So like you gotta dig deep and kind of find. But everyone's got something. I know it.
Facts. And one of the things I always tell people is to ask why to everything. Like I remember like thinking back, like you said, like 15. It's like even if you just want to use sports as the example, if you just ask yourself, why do you like playing baseball? Like one of the things that I realized, like I love baseball. Don't get me wrong, but I just love being competitive.
That's a great point. Yeah.
And so if you know that, like if you know you just like being competitive, because you put me on a pickup basketball game, I'm diving on the floor. It's just my personality, okay? Because I'm just that competitive. If you take that information, what else can you be competitive in? I think we can get so simple-minded because like you have the parents that spent thousands of dollars on travel ball for 16 years. Crazy. And so you've been driven into like, this is what you're going to do. And that's why I do this podcast, because it's like, look, you know what I'm saying? The Dans of the world, And so I think it's so important if you're in that point to say, okay, why do I like playing basketball? Why do I like, or what did I like outside of here? It's sad that there's some kids that never even got to try out something outside of it, because there's some places where it's just like, this is what you're doing, bud, But I think it's so important to ask why. And it's great that you found that for content creation. And what I would ask like now is, so like say somebody wants to be like, listen to you, they're like, I want to be a content creator, whatever. What does that day-to-day look like? And how do you go from like doing it after playing sports to being like, no, this is what I do full time? What is that like? What's a day in life? And how do you become a full-time creator?
Dude, it's funny because like I'm starting to realize that like my day kind of still revolves around like my workout or something. So like I gotta like I just feel off if I didn't like at least go for a run or something in the morning, or like get a lift in or whatever. Like I've like the last like few months I've been feeling kind of like my day is so like random because it is, because we're traveling so much or whatever. Then I started to realize over these last few weeks, like once I get my workout in, I have so much clarity on like the rest of my day. Yeah. Just naturally, I think maybe it's the athlete in me or whatever. It's probably something biological where it's like once you get whatever, you're good. So that's what I've started to do. I want to prioritize my health more because I realize that helps so much. Like my physical health helps so much with my mental health, and my mental health helps
all connected.
Like, it's all connected, bro. So I'm starting to like, I gotta start taking that more seriously. But it's something I'm realizing and taking steps forward towards doing. But for me, it's like once I get my workout in, then it's like, it depends on the day. It's like sometimes I still edit all my own videos. So sometimes I'm like, all right, today's an editing day. Today I'm going to sit down for 8 hours and like this video will be done by the time I sit up from my computer. Not the healthiest, but like it's sometimes you got to like, grit it out a little bit. So that's what tomorrow's going to be, because tomorrow I have a video dropping on Sunday. Tomorrow I got to just like, lock in and get it going. But like for me, we do a lot of like like we got our whiteboard over there. So Leo and I are always like just thinking of ideas and texting back and forth. Like, yo, what if we did, Day in the Life with Ben Joyce, the guy who throws 105? Like, oh, that could be a good video. Like, what would the title be? Maybe training with the hardest throw in the world. Oh, that's like, sounds like a good YouTube video. Okay, cool. And then we start writing that down. Then it's like, next step. Okay, let's DM Ben. We did a podcast with him a few months ago, or 6 months ago. I have his number, so I texted him, and Leo DM'd him, and he's like, oh, I'm down. Like, I'm down in Knoxville. And we're like, oh, you're in Knoxville, Tennessee. What if we did a Tennessee tour? Because like we could bang out 2 birds with 1 stone. So now we're starting to figure out, okay, what would a Tennessee trip look like? Next week we're going to BYU because we did a video there like 6 months ago. But this video was being planned, Leo, like 2 months ago? This video's been planned forever. Like we've been planning it. We were like, we got to go back to BYU, like because it's fun. It's like they have a beautiful scene and like big school. They got a lot of money and like they got really nice facilities. So we're like, this is a great video. So let's do a football facility tour there. Let's do a football game day there. But Leo's out there working 2 months ago trying to figure out what the best date for us would be. And then for me, he frees up the time for me so I can be like, let's think of more ideas. Let me go edit. Let me go make some clips, and let me just start looking on YouTube and seeing what's working and what's going well. But like day to day, it's recently been built around like what our next trip is. So like we kind of work back from there. So like we were in Colorado last weekend for the USC game, and the 5 days leading up to that or whatever, because we had a trip even before that. We were in Hawaii before that. 5 days is like, okay, let's build towards Colorado. But I also still had to finish editing the Hawaii video. So it was like, I'm kind of working from what we did and also like, a few months in the future too. So it's all over the place, but like it took a while, bro, to get to the system down and like figure out like, where do I fit in best? What are my strengths? What are Leah's strengths? What are Tony's strengths, who like our videographer and he's a creative. So like once we built that like kind of core team who understands like the business or like the system, it's been a lot easier because now we just kind of we know what needs to be done, which is like, I got to edit, or I got to do the whatever. So all that to say, work out and then get done whatever needs to be get done.
So then when you're like at that starter phase, like you just started to jump into content, like what are those first steps? Maybe it's figuring out a topic, a niche, and then like what would be the first steps? Somebody's like, I'm listening to Dan, I think I want to be a content creator. What are the first steps you would tell them to take? Well,
for me, I guess I can only speak on experience, because like for me, I was doing these like day in the life vlogs or whatever, like game day vlogs, and they were getting like 1,000, 2,000 views on YouTube. I'd clip them and do a couple hundred on, TikTok, Instagram. But then there wasn't like a thing. Like I didn't throw 95. Like I didn't have like a shtick, whatever. Like a thing that people could be like, oh, you should follow this kid. He throws 90, or you should whatever. But then I started doing this podcast with my boy up at school. We had like an audio lab.
I used to watch that.
Yeah, bro, it was so fun. We had this little audio lab that no one ever used at our little tiny campus in Bridgeton. We could use it 24/7 whenever. Like we sometimes would go in at like, I think we did one at like 10:30 or 11 at night one time. We just walked in and started filming a podcast because like we just wanted to. Really high quality stuff, and that just made me so excited, because I was like, oh, like I see all these clips on TikTok going viral of like podcasts, multi-camera angle and stuff. I was like, we should do one about baseball. So originally, actually, we started with like kind of like this. It was like Joe's kind of like spiritual and more like, he sees the bigger picture of stuff, whatever. Okay. So we talk about like life goals and success and stuff, which was cool. But again, it wasn't like, a lot of people do that, and I wasn't good enough yet to like know how to make it stick on social media. Then we started talking about baseball, and like he was doing like hot takes and stuff. He was saying all this crazy stuff about like D2s beating D1s. He definitely said
some wild stuff, and I was like, all right, bro.
There'd be times
good though for content.
There'd be times where I'd have because I would do all the production and stuff, and he would just show up, and I'd be like, he'd be like, what do I need to say to get clicks? And I'd be like, you're crazy. But I'm like, we got to make it realistic too. So, and he naturally is like, he's from Boston. He has one of those, he's just like, he has one of those mindsets where he believes what he believes, which was funny, because then I'd like challenge his beliefs and it would just, his whole thing would fall apart. But it was fun because we make little clips about it, of him saying like, I remember he did one like, he'd rather start a team with Xander Bogaerts than Shohei. And I was like, yo, what do you
talking? What does that even mean?
Because he's a diehard Red Sox fan, and he meant it, but he looks like kind of idiot on social media. But like, he's just one of those people. He's like unapologetically him, which made for great content. And then for me, I'd clip it up, put some captions on it, whatever, and then be like, yo, watch the long form video on my YouTube channel. Started getting a little traction there. And then that started boosting the views on the game day vlogs, because people started subscribing. And then I started doing some like more IRL stuff, like live ABs, more like situational versus like just a day in the life. It'd be like live ABs versus college kids, stuff like that. So for me, it was about like seeing it worked. I saw like on Instagram or TikTok, so many of these podcast clips are going viral, but they all had like a thing about them that made it go viral. So ours was like baseball hot takes. Okay, cool. And then obviously we tried to have substance in it too. And like on the long form pod, we talked more about like what's life like, what we're doing. But the kind of was like, oh, let's make something go viral, or hopefully. So that was like for me. And then it's, like views have always gone up and down. Even right now, like we're at a low point right now, because I started doing some football stuff, and it takes some time. You know how it is, like takes some time to get the new audience in, and YouTube needs to find who the audience is. But like, once I started seeing like, oh, like these Jesser, Jesser?
Oh, I used to watch Jesser, Cash Nasty, all those
LSK,
guys.
all those guys,
all
bro.
Those
like,
guys.
So Jesser does some really good stuff for basketball right now. And I was like, let me just make my YouTube channel, like over the last 6 months, it was like make my YouTube channel like Baseball Jesser. Because like no one's doing that, right? Like Sim and the Momentum guys are like doing like challenges and stuff. But like for me,
doing that.
I'm doing more like experiences, like tours and like a game day, but like a big league game day, all, VIP access and stuff. So I was like, let me just lean into that. And I've seen some success with that. And I was like, man, this is like so fun to see the process of like, okay, I started with this, then I changed it to this, and that one didn't do as well, so let me switch it up a little bit. You know how it is. But like social media, they give you so many metrics on like how you can improve. Like it's crazy. Like YouTube on the back end, you know how it is. Like you get click-through rate, you get AVD, you get how like you can see the retention graph of like when people are dropping off your video, when people are skipping to. And then you get like, you can see the impressions and see people are coming from externally. They're coming from Instagram, but they're also like Google searching it. Wonder why they're Google searching it. Oh, because they're like, it has high SEO. Like people are looking up like Diamondback's pool suite on Google. So my video is showing up. It's just like so crazy how much back end data there is. And for me, I'm a bit of a nerd. So like I like diving into that stuff because it's like it's quantitative stuff of like how I can get better. Like why wouldn't I dive into that? So it seems like a no brainer to me. But like again, it's like all about trial and error. And like at the end of the day, I just got to make a good video and people will watch it. But I think the original question was like, what was my advice or what?
Yeah, like if somebody's like just starting out as a content creator, what would be the first steps?
The first step for me is just do it. Like turn on the camera and film something, bro. Like and just stick to a schedule. Do that every day. Like make a TikTok every day or something like that because that's how you're gonna learn. I remember my buddy, or I was listening to like a podcast or something. They were saying like, if you could start social media today, what would you do? With no, like you had no niche in mind or anything. And someone would like, just start doing day in the lives and then and then just film your day in the life, learn how to edit, learn how to do all that CapCut and all that stuff. Just learn the basics and then see which one does the best. Oh, it was when I went rock climbing. Oh, people liked rock climbing. Oh, I'm pretty good at rock climbing. I like it. So start leaning into that. See which ones do better in the rock climbing niche. And then maybe even dig even more specific, like touring the nicest rock climbing. I don't know, stuff like that. Just like, but the way you get there is just by doing it, bro. You just got to start posting some. Like, it's really
exactly.
So,
and I think people overanalyze and they never start and they never make progress. Like, you have to just start and just see what happens. Like, for me, like, it's funny. Like, I remember I was at work. This was before I quit my job. And it was like a month before I quit. And they had this assignment where they want us to, like, talk about the different neighborhoods in D.C. or whatever. And you could do whatever you want with the project. And I had never edited before. Like, I do short form, but I'd never done long form. I just said I'll edit the whole thing. I didn't. They were like, "You can do that." I was like, "Yeah, I don't know how to do that though." And I just did it. And now it's like I have the ability, if I need to be able to do it. So I think it's pretty cool. And it's just, you know, like you talked about Jesser. Like Jesser was just a 2K guy before, and so people don't realize, you know, you can make those pivots. Like I think, especially when you have success, you think you just have to. All right, this is my audience, man.
You gotta drill it.
You know, a lot of creators, they just go into jail. Like, okay, this is just what I do now because I got this amount of followers. And so, but the only way to not crash out is to keep evolving. And I think it's pretty dope that you've constantly evolved and you've, you know, you have different personas, I think. Like you have the times where you're visiting the stadiums, then you have the times where you're just like at the cages, you know what I mean? And I think that's what builds a brand that can last longer. You know, I think a lot of people, they build these brands that they're hot for a second, but they don't have substance, you know? But I think substance comes from a real authentic person. You know?
That's the thing, bro. Cause like, I try to tell this to people, bro, but I didn't really learn it until it was actually like applied to my life. But like, you can only be yourself. Like especially if you're doing content online, bro, like if you're trying to play a character, that character's going to die out because that's not you. You can't keep that up forever. Like I see people, you know, some people get a little virality on social media playing some certain character or being a certain way or doing like a specific video over and over again. But it's like, you gotta be okay with failing originally just because you gotta play the long game, bro. You gotta think in decades, not like weeks, not in days, bro. Like you can't be thinking like, oh, this video did well today, let me do that for the next. No. You gotta think like, in 10 years, what I want to be doing, okay, let's work back from there. And again, it's hard. It's like, you know, there's so much trial and error involved, but like, you just gotta like fall in love with the process, dude. Like you gotta.
And you know what the reason is why people sometimes can't get that is because they show it to this specific audience first, or the amount of people YouTube shows it first and it doesn't do well. But it's like, it just hasn't reached the fan base you're meant to meet yet. And so I think a lot of people, they get trapped because we all have this problem of wanting people to like us. But you got to like yourself first to last. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people don't like content they're putting out. They don't like, or even not even content. They don't like who they are. And that person that they're faking is getting that love from their hometown. But maybe you're meant to have fans in Japan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think people miss out on their global fan base trying to please the people they're not even meant for. You know what I mean?
Dude,
and so I think it's so important, like, again, thinking decades. Like, it may have taken you like 7 months to finally get traction or whatever it may be, but like the way you're going to last 20 years from now is the fact that I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Like for me, like this podcast is never going to end because it's just like, this is just who I am. You know what I mean? When the audience meets me, it's going to happen. But I'm not going to change this because one video didn't get this amount of views.
Yeah.
And people get stuck on what they're meant to do because of the people they're not meant for.
Bro, it's crazy. I love these guys, Colin and Samir. I don't know if you know Colin.
I know
and Samir.
they have the two podcasts. They did one with Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast. They did one massive. They've done two with Mr. Beast that went
massive,
crazy. But that was like one of the first ones where people were like, oh, there's more to this than just like viral videos.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole machine. But they interview all these guys, like Dream and all the big social media people. And they have this one podcast, or they have this one segment where they do, it only has like, it's not on their main channel. It's got like 25,000 subscribers, but they do it every single week. It's called Creator Support. And it's meant for people like us who are like full-time, entrepreneurs, creators, whatever, who just like want to hear other people like us it's just them talking to each other every week. And they said this one thing where they were like, someone asked them a question about like, what have you learned over the years of, they've been doing it for, 15 years. And they said, content creation and just entrepreneurship as a whole, it's really just like self-discovery. The whole thing is just a self-discovery of like who you are and like what you want to build and like what your real passions are and like what kind of person you are, which sounds kind of like, oh, woo, woo. But like if you're, some people are like really obsessive and can get done and like just are grind, and that can get through it. Other people, they make steps by being more creative and being more outside the box. But like, you're not going to know which person you are until you do those things, bro. And it's like, again, it goes back to just like doing it. You just got to do like you gotta like post stuff online and you gotta kind of get rid of the like, oh, people are gonna make fun of me. Like, nah, bro, because like they're not doing it. Like you just can't even worry about it. I used to worry about that a little bit, and then I was like, you know what, like I'm kind of a weirdo anyway, like let me just lean into that, bro.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like it's more fun that way. Like it might be normal, like it's more fun to be weird.
And then I always like to say fitting in is just another way of saying average, And so the people who get caught up with that, it's just like you're sacrificing the one thing that is viral, the one thing that is gonna, because all of us are weird. It's just not all of us show it,
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty cool. The next way I wanted to kind of go with it, one thing I've seen with you and your content is like you've really developed relationships. And you've been able to, make content with all these different people. Could you kind of describe the value of building relationships when it comes to content creation? And like, is it more of an attraction in terms of your connections because you're making this great content, or are you networking? Like, what is your,
Dude, it's all like authentic. Like honestly, like Max Clark is like half the reason, or like he's like half the views of my channel, like of all my, like probably more. Like he's given us so much. He's been so generous with his time and with his energy, because he just like, but that's just from, we met him over a year ago. Like we didn't make a video with him until like 8 months ago, but we met him at Area Codes like a year and a half ago, or like June or July of last year, August something. And we just said, yo, what's good, dude? Like I see you're growing social media, like we do that too. And we just started talking about that, and we exchanged numbers or whatever. We're like, yo, if you ever want to hop on the podcast, we'd love to have you. And it didn't end up working out, but we just became friends because of it. And we were just talking about like, yo, what are your goals with all this? Like you're building a crazy fan base, but like, how are you monetizing? All that kind of just like some nerd stuff that we could connect over, aside from baseball. Cause everyone asked him about baseball. So we're just like, hey, like, what else do you like to do? And eventually we were just like, talking to him like, yo, we should do some stuff out in Indiana before the season gets going. He's like, yo, come out. Like, let's do it. Let's do a whole video. And we knew 2 weeks later, we were out there, did the podcast, did a day in the life, got to spend a whole day with him, just see what his life is like in Franklin, Indiana. It's like the middle of nowhere. And he's this kid with like, 300,000 followers. We're like, it's kind of like a cool story.
He picked like top 5.
Bro, he was third overall. And we were at his house for draft day, bro. That was crazy. And that was from building the relationship over time and just being like an authentic person. So we went and filmed with them. Then 2 weeks later, naturally we got invited to go film like the PBR Super 60 in Chicago, and Max was there, and we just kicked it with him because we were at his house 2 weeks earlier. So we just kicked it, and we made friends with Cage, who's like his videographer, who does all that content that he posts. He helps film it, and we just became like friends, and like it was like really authentic. And then the content's great too, because like that's gonna come naturally, because this kid's like a superstar for baseball, and like he's anything with his name in it is going to get views. And we just, eventually ended up being like, he's like, yo, y'all got to come to my house for draft day. Y'all got to be there. That's like, awesome. Let's do it. And we're like, fucking yeah. Like, yeah. What? And we were hearing like he could be anywhere from 1 to like 5th overall, which is like crazy. So many people were there, but we had like a front row center like spot to film it when he got picked. And, it was just like such a crazy experience, bro. Cause like, and we even made friends with like his dad. Like his dad loves us. Like we talked to him, we'd sit with him at the games and just chop it up. His mom is a sweetheart. Like we're just friendly people. And like Leo and I we're just so happy to be here, bro. Like we're not like, oh, how's this post gonna do? We're like,
finesse this situation.
Yeah, we're like, dude, let's showcase this kid for like, who's a superstar in the making, for who he really is, which is a dope dude who like is a grinder and is really good at baseball. And we're like, let's make some content out of it. But also like we're playing, like, again, thinking decades. Like I don't want to just like, I could do a Max Clark video every week if I wanted to, and it would get crazy clicks, but it's like, I don't want to be the Max Clark guy. Like sometimes kids come up to me, they're like, oh, you're the Max Clark guy. And I'm like, that's okay. At least you know who I am. Yeah. But we want to play the long-term game. So like, that's why I haven't done stuff with Max in a little bit, because I'm trying to build my own. I want to do my facility tours. I want to build my DSARM brand too. And that's the way you got to go about it. So like, yeah, like I got a bit of, virality or clicks or whatever from Max, and I'm so blessed for that. But it's like, I'm thinking like 10 years down the line, I want to still be homies with him. Like, I don't want to just burn a bridge like right now.
Exactly.
Like that would suck to put the content over a relationship. Like you can't do that. And that just, again, comes back to being authentic and like just being like a genuinely good person with good intentions, And,
Got you.
yeah.
And I think one of the things I've realized with this podcast is like everybody that's on here for the most part is just like a homie. Like it's just my friend. Like now, do they do crazy amazing stuff? Yes, but like there's a sense of energy that people can feel, especially as a creator. Like you can feel authenticity. Like you can't describe it, but like you can just feel it. Like you can feel it without even meeting you. Like I can feel it with you we just met today, like physically. But it's like 2 years ago, before any of us got our real emotion going, you could just feel it.
Bro, I knew we'd be homies. Like I just like, because you're doing what I'm doing. Like you're out there hustling and chasing something. And like we're going through the same struggles. Probably we're going. Our day to day is like, maybe it's very different, but it's also very similar too. So it's like we're gonna be friends. Like it's just how it is.
And it's like what people don't realize. I think business is just people skills. Like literally, like. I go to schools, like I tell people, like, Jamar, how do you, like, I think you asked me, like, how do you get these gigs and stuff? And while, yes, it's cold email and stuff, but it's also, like, I'm becoming friends with the principal. So now, you know what I mean?
They want to
like,
help you out.
Exactly.
You want to help them.
But the thing is, there's a lot of people that are in my business, or there's probably a lot of people in your business, they're saying, like, man, if I make this video on Max Clark, I can probably get a lot of views and make money. But with you, it's like, I bet I could, I'm really cool at Max. I bet we can make great content and also inspire people. You know what I'm saying? It's a different click. And even though one person wants what you eventually get in the long run, they're not going to be able to get it because they're doing it for the wrong reasons. And so like, it's like when you're so authentic, man, like it'll just come to you, dog.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
I don't even know how we came across each other.
I think we probably both were at like 1,000 followers.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, just like, yo, I see you posting content, and you had a baseball background, so you probably saw I was doing
that's
baseball
exactly
stuff.
What I think so.
And then I was like, dude, you're doing like a podcast. Like I love podcasts, like whatever. And it's just organic. And here we are, like 2 years later, bro. Like it's, we knew we'd probably cross paths eventually. We just didn't know when, and here we are.
And
so
how?
It's like really cool.
It's amazing. And it's super dope to see that. And it's just like there's so many unlimited possibilities of relationships. Like there's so many people that I know that came from me being in a random city and I bumped into them. And then it's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? And it kind of speaks to like the universe or life. It's something else, man.
Bro,
it's like everything's happening for a reason, And it's like I think about like sometimes like, man, there's somebody's life that trajectory just could change because of this video. Bro, you know what I mean?
I got a crazy story about
What's
that.
up?
Like my boy Tony, who I talked about a few times. He's our videographer, travels with us everywhere in our group chat every single day, talking about ideas or whatever. When the way we met him was Leo and I, we were in Arizona for the first time to do the sim content, and then we were just at Lids because we wanted to get our podcast logo on that rug over there. We wanted to get it stitched onto like a hat. So we had like 3 blanks. We're gonna go to Lids, and we're like, yeah, I got this idea for this hat, and we go there, and this little kid, he's dripped out and he's got a cool hat. He got the pins on. We're like, this kid's funny. Like, let's talk to him. And he's like, what up, boss? How we doing? And we're like, yeah, like we're just trying to get this design on a hat. And he was just like super authentic. He's like, oh, like what do you guys do? Like he's asking us like, we're like, oh, we do content. He's like, oh, I do graphic design for ASU. We're like, oh, cool. And then we just started naturally just like talking about all that stuff. And then he's like, yo, I do some videography work too. If you guys ever need a videographer, or I don't even know if he said that then, but maybe if photography, he said photography.
Okay.
And we're like, oh yeah, like sure, let's connect. We'll get socials or whatever. And then slowly over time, he's like, yo, can I come with you guys to Miami? We're like, yeah. He bought his own flight to Miami on our first like big trip. And like, he was just there. He slept in the bathtub, bro. Yeah. We got a tiny Airbnb, and he was like, nah, you guys are fun. Like, let's just grind and build something. And now he's like my best friend, bro. Like me, Leo, and Tony, we're business partners, whatever, but like, we're just homies, bro. Like we've been through so much together in just a year. Like, and we met him because the hat got butchered. Like it was like the hat, like the stitching was way too thick because our design was too complex. And he's like, I can try it. And then he gave it to us for free. He was like, I f***ed it up, like whatever. And we're like, oh, that's like chill. Like we got so much more out of that connection than just like the hat. Like Tony's our homie, bro. So it's like, and again, like me, Leo, Tony, like we're thinking in decades. We're not like, hey, how can we get the most out of each other right now? It's like, yo, 10 years down the line, like we want to build like the way like LeBron and Mav Carter, like bro, high school, like They were
And he
high
believed
school
in them
friends,
even
bro.
when everybody said, "What are you doing with those guys?"
Yeah, it's like J. Cole is like one of my favorite people, like one of my
Me
biggest
too.
idols. And he met Ebe, who's the president of Dreamville in college. And then Ebe's younger brother is Boss, who's like a rapper on Dreamville's label. They just met in college, bro, like playing basketball, like at St. John's in New York. And the reason J. Cole was in New York is because he's from North Carolina, but he wanted to be somewhere where stuff was going
St.
on. Where
John's,
stuff
yeah.
he wanted to get out of the small town of North Carolina. So he wouldn't have met his people without getting out of his shell and doing that. And now they've built Dreamville. They built like, obviously he's like one of the greatest rappers of all time, like all that stuff. But that started from just like an 18-year-old kid saying, let me go up to New York. Like, I don't want to go to UNC. I don't want to be stuck with all the same group of people. Let me go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then, it's just like, it seems chance and it's all like up to fate. But if you make the right, decisions for yourself consistently, I think you just get rewarded for it. Like
Exactly.
naturally.
And I think we were just talking to him about that gut decision. Like, even like sometimes you don't understand like what's in that decision. Like, there's something more there. Like, there's something more with that gut. Your gut knows something that you don't. And it's like, it takes a crazy person to believe in it, but that crazy person is the only one who has a chance. Like, you have no chance of becoming a content creator if you don't start creating content.
That's so true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I tell the people that all the time. It's like, I'd rather at least like try something and completely fail at it. Like, completely fall flat on my face. But it's like, okay, well, at least I know I won't sit and be like 60 years old and like, man, if I would have like went there, like what would have happened? And what was really the worst case scenario? Like, we talk about the worst case scenario a lot, but like people forget to think about the best case.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is the best case scenario that we think then probably isn't big enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's actually a great point, dude. Because, like I've had so many big goals that were huge. Like, my biggest goal when I was 15 was like, I want to get 10,000 subscribers. Imagine if I had 10,000 subscribers. And like, when I hit it, I was like, damn, this is crazy. I wonder what 100,000 would feel like. And then it's like, it's just, you got like, and that's how you got to do it. You got to the way you slowly adjust your day to day and like whatever you're doing, you got to adjust your goals accordingly. So you're always like chasing, it's a moving target, but it's like, that's the game we're playing. It's fun.
Yep. And it's like, again, when you're passionate about it, the results matter, but because you're so enthralled on the moment, the results are better. And so the people that get too caught up on, I want to hit this number of followers, subscribers, they'll get there, but that'll be it. Like, I tell people all the time, like, what are you gonna do after you achieve your goals? Like, for me, like I have goals, right? But like, I'm not attached to them at all.
Yeah.
I'm just like, whatever happens. But I know every day I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna become a better version of Jamar. I'm gonna do what I love to do, and then whatever happens, happens. Like, I get 1,000 no's every day from schools.
Yeah.
But then yesterday I got a school that, well, I'm not gonna jinx it, but a school that wants me to come like every month.
That's
you know what
sick,
I mean? For
yeah.
the rest of the year. Like, I got 1,000 no's. I could have very easily quit because of that.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, I know I'm doing what I'm meant to do. So, you got to kind of let the universe do its thing sometimes.
Yeah, man. And like, again, cold emails, bro. We are
done a
talking
ton of those?
we are the cold email kings.
Okay, I was gonna ask. I was like, I'd be looking at them like, they gotta be doing cold emails,
dude.
Like,
Yeah. The amount of stuff that is, like, if you look at my channel, the ideas that are from inbound versus outbound, it's probably like 90-10. Like, outbound,
Really?
like us, yeah, like 10. That's, I don't even know if
but
10,
people are
10's
too
even high.
afraid to do outbound.
Yeah, if you, like, it's crazy, bro. If you think about it, bro, Max Clark, we hit him up. Like, I hit Max up like 2 years ago, over like email or something, or like a year and a half ago. Like, yo, let's do live ABs, and he didn't answer, obviously. But it's like, you can't be afraid to ask, because then it's like,
No chance.
It's fun. I remember Ben Joyce gave me his number. He's like, yo, can you send me this clip? And he gave me his number, and I put the number in. I was like, how do I already have his number? It's because he had his number public on his Instagram a year and a half ago. I asked him to be on the podcast, and I looked at that. I was like, damn, that's really awkward, but I'm gonna send him but like, it is what it is. Leo and I talk all the time about like, we'll get a follow back from someone, and it'll be like, oh wow, and I'm like, damn, I got a DM with them, I got to delete from 2 years
happens
ago,
to me
bro.
all the time, bro.
All the time, and I'm like, damn, that's crazy. But it's like,
It's not
wholesome,
that
bro.
deep, though. It's really not that
It's kind
deep.
of like if I followed someone and I saw that they had a DM to me, I'd be like, yo, you're about it. Like, you were doing 2 years ago, whatever it is, like 2 years ago. So like, it's funny to think about. So you gotta plant the roots, the seeds early to build the root of everything.
Yeah.
And then,
There we go.
and then build it up. Because it's like, it takes time, bro. Like, it really, you gotta just shoot your shot though. Like,
And it's crazy because, like, people look at me in the speaking business and be like, oh, Jamar just has it going on. This school's one of them. Or they'll look at you and be like, oh, he's getting these guys. But it's like, dude, I just asked. And I think I think people have it's a pride thing too. I think
yeah,
it's
I
a
don't want to
pride
get turned
thing.
down.
But it's like, dude, like, this life is yours if you just take it. Like, it's there. there's probably 1,000 no's y'all get. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, they just kind of fire me up now.
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, you don't
Like-
want us? Okay, word. We're gonna make you.
And then they come back.
We're gonna make you.
And
Yeah.
then they
I
come.
feel like every school that we go to is literally me cold email.
Yeah.
Yep, cold
And now,
email.
and like, it's lucky now we have a proof of concept where it's like,
Exactly.
look, we put up
When
these
you didn't
views,
have
blah
the
blah blah.
proof
But like,
before, whew,
oh,
but
it's
I know
0 to 1, bro. But once
Yeah.
you get to 0 to 1, it's so much easier to get.
once
to
you get
1 to
one,
2.
it's funny because when I started speaking, how are you gonna get booked to speak without a video of you?
Yeah, right.
And so I was like, bro, like, how am I going to do this? The hardest part is the first yes. And then each yes makes the next yes so much easier. But you got to be a
infinitely.
crazy person to get the first yes.
Yeah.
And literally, I got lucky. I just was at my old high school and I was just, you know what I'm saying? But it's so important to not be afraid of no's or failure because they're what build the bridges to the yeses, you know? And so I think it's dope. I wasn't even planning on asking y'all about the marketing strategy or like getting these guests, but I think that's super dope to hear that. So you've like developed all these relationships and you got these videos with all these guys. One thing I really wanted to get out of here today for sure is for that kid that's maybe not a content creator, he's still the kid who wants to play pro sports. What is something you could say you've learned from meeting all these different D1 athletes, these different professional athletes? What are some common traits or abilities or disciplines you see that's allowed them to get to the point where they're playing this high level ball?
Dude, one thing that I really like learned over the last couple of years was like, it's not fair. Like, it's not. Like, you shouldn't expect it to be. Like, for a while, I was like, damn, this isn't fair. Like, I feel like I was cheated when I'm not throwing 95 at 18 years old or whatever. But it's like, I wasn't cheated. I was just given the tools I was given. I have stuff that's better than some people. I have stuff that's worse than other people. And I just have to play to my strengths and improve my weaknesses as much as you can. Like, you can't spend energy on, like, being mad at the cards you were dealt because that's energy you could be used to getting better. Like, that's just naturally how it is. And it took me so long to realize that. Like, I remember doing like velocity days. You know, you go in there, it's like, I got 20 pitches. I'm going to just light up the radar. Me, it'd be like 83. And I'd be like, damn. And then these like 17 or these 15-year-olds would be throwing like 92, 93. And I'm like, bro, this kid, like, I lift more than that kid. I'm older than that kid. Like, what's going on? But it's just because it's the cards I was dealt, bro. But like that obsession and that, you know, kind of like fire or whatever is what led me to the success of my real venture, which is like content, social media, all that stuff. But like, you can't waste energy on stuff that like you can't change. Like you have to just like spend all the energy on being obsessive over stuff that you can actually improve on and be better at. So like, that's my biggest, like, that's the thing I had that was tough to learn for me. Like, it took a while for me to accept like, oh, like maybe I'll never throw 95. Like, it was, if you told me that at 16, I'd be like, no, yes, I can. Like, I can do anything in the whole world. But you know, you got to just like play to your strengths. And because like, again, like we were just talking about, the work that I put in to get me from 80 to 85 miles an hour is actually very similar to what got me from 10,000 to 100,000 subscribers. It's a lot different in practice, but the mindset's the same, bro. It's the exact same. It's like day in, day out, I'm going to obsess over this thing until I get there. And then when I get there, I'm going to obsess over the next thing and the next thing. Because like, we're playing a game. Like, we're actually like, you know, in a game, you work harder, you make the right moves, the right chess moves, you get rewarded for it. So like, you got to, once you shift your mindset to like, oh, woe is me, instead of that, you shift it to like, oh, like, I got the cards I was dealt, like, let's improve them. Let's boost my stats. Like, it's, you know, spending VC on a 2K character. It's like, let me, you know, acquire some of that. So that's the whole mindset shift you kind of helps to have, because then you stop getting down on yourself and you're more like, when you get those 1,000 no's, you get that one yes feels amazing. And those 1,000 no's fuel you to get, you know, even more. So it's all a process, bro. Like, it's funny. I'm saying all this stuff now, but who knows? Like 2 years from now, I might be like, damn, that kid didn't know anything. But that's the point. Like, I want to cringe at myself a year ago, because that means I'm improving. It means you grew. That means same with the content. Like, if I'm looking back, I'm like, damn, that video sucked, but it did okay. But that video sucked. That means I improved. That means I gained skills and can actually like I applied those skills and then slowly grew because of it. So yeah.
And I think it's all about perspective. You know, when you have the bad cards that you are dealt, a lot of people can just say, oh, well, it's not going to work out for me. But there's an opportunity in everything if you can see the opportunity. Like, for me, I was always the kid that was smaller, didn't have all the muscles, couldn't throw the ball that hard back in the day. But you know what it taught me? I was always the hardest working on my team. Like, there was nobody that was outworking me. There's nobody that would dive and put their body in line for a ball. Like, I would go get everything. And so that allowed me to be a better person than a lot of people. There's a lot of teammates who are like, man, Jamar, like teammates from back in the day, like, man, Jamar, you doing all this stuff, and it's just like, and I remember I'm thinking, I'm like, man, I used to think like, man, if I could just have his body, his talent, and I'm just like, man, and now they're just like, man, if I would have developed as a person like you,
bro, that's crazy.
You
It's
know
so
what I mean?
true. It's like, yeah, it's like if they're like, damn, if I had the skills, but if I just like had the work ethic that Jamar had, like it's crazy how it's again, it comes back to playing the long game. You gotta like build these skills upon each other.
Yeah, it's a wild thing, and it's also about understanding. Like you can't understand the full purpose of everything you're going through immediately. Like I couldn't understand why I was the smallest kid out there. I just had to deal with it and embrace it, even without knowing. Like it's hard to embrace something without knowing the purpose of it, but you kind of have to, or you're not going to get that. Like now, like I'm here now with you. I had to embrace it without knowing, And I think people, they're too simple-minded with perspectives, and so it's a powerful thing. Very powerful thing.
Dude, a lot of it's just, and you also just gotta like have faith, like
Yeah.
and faith is in, whether that's for some people that's like God and all that, and like some people that's just like they just think they're optimists. They're like, oh, I have faith, everything's gonna work out. Whatever that is for you, it's like just lean into that, bro. It's like life is like way better when you're not like, damn, everything sucks. It's like it's hard. I gotta tell myself sometimes because I'm like so down on myself if a video doesn't do well or if something is going wrong in like your personal life or whatever. But you gotta just like have faith that everything's gonna work out because it usually does. Like it's kind of crazy, but like I don't know. Like humans have evolved to a certain point where it's like we just kind of adjust to the settings or like the environment that we're given, which is like a pro and a con. But if we're just like naturally tell ourselves like, yeah, like it's kind of nice out today. Like I think today's gonna be a good day, and even if it's not, tomorrow's gonna be a good day. And if you just rewire your brain or just like tell yourself every day that everything's gonna work out, something is on your side, then it just like kind of helps everything seem a little better, and like you have more motivation to go get this stuff done, or you have like less doubt that things aren't gonna work out and all that kind of stuff. So.
And then sometimes just the faith is what allows you to be better at it. Like it's not actually that it's a weird concept, but sometimes it may not even be anything working for you. It's just when you walk into a room and believe you can do something, it's a better chance that you'll be able to do it. Yeah. Like, like I remember speaking and I had no like prior background, but I just decided, okay, Jamar, you don't know how to do this, but we're going to just act like we know we do. Mm-hmm. And then you just do it. You know what I mean? And so I think there's a level of insanity you have to have
yeah.
To be able to do it, but only the crazy ones actually achieve something. You know, and so you have to be crazy. You have to just bump it and look stupid in the beginning.
You just got to get over that. It's funny. I forget who said this quote. I don't know if I read it. It must have been on Instagram or something. But someone was like, point blank, normal people get normal results. Weird people get weird results. Take that as you will. Like being a billionaire, that's a weird result. That is uncommon. Most people don't do it. But like it's the person, the weird person who took different steps to get there is the one who gets there. You can't just be like, oh, I think I'm going to be like everyone else and it'll probably be okay. Like that's the wrong kind of faith. You can't be lazy. You can't have lazy faith. You have to have like actually be active about it and be like, I'm going to do everything I can every day. Therefore, I have faith that it's going to work out.
Got you. And another question I want to ask you, because one of the things about being a passionate person, entrepreneur, going for your dreams, whatever it may be, you can see the wins, right? And there's a lot of things you can tell us your day in life, but the realities are there's other things that are also coming up. Like for me in the beginning, I was umpiring baseball every day, like making a little bit of money so I could, what are some of the things or the struggles that you dealt with that maybe people don't get to see?
Yeah, man. I remember when I first like left Azusa, that was like tough, bro, because I was like, damn, I got to find an apartment. I don't know where. Like, I'm not from here. I got no, like Leo is from here, but he was up at college up in like the Valley. So I was just like, damn, I'm kind of like on my own right now, but it was like kind of freeing, but also like terrifying at the same time. And like, I didn't have money, bro. Like I remember like one time I got an apartment and I had to put whatever the fee is you got to do. Initial payment or whatever. And I was like, oh, like that's all my money. Like I don't have like much money after that. And I literally got to like negative $50 or something. My mom had to give me a $500. She didn't even tell me she was doing it. I don't pay attention to money like that. So she just like snuck it in there. And I found out a few weeks later, I was like, wait, where'd this $500 come from? She's like, you needed it. Like you had zero. And I was like, I had $0. So I was like, I'll pay you back, but I can't right now, but I'll pay you back. But that, and then dude, for a few months it was like just like I was like thinking about, this was like less than a year ago. I was like, damn, maybe I should do some like real estate shoots, or like maybe I should like fly my drone somewhere. I was like, damn, I don't really know what to do. And then I was like, or I could just go like all in on like making the best content, because like there's money in that, and like YouTube has a really good like payment program for AdSense and stuff, so like it rewards you if you're bringing viewers to the platform. So it's like, all right, let me just like get really good at like making good YouTube videos. So like that's kind of been my thing. And like slowly, January we booked a trip to Miami. We're like, we're just gonna make as much content as we can down there. We filmed like 6 videos, and that was my next month of content. And then, oh, we made some money back from it. Okay, let me reinvest it. And then the next month we did the Max Clark thing. I think a few weeks later we did the Max Clark thing, and that's helped shoot it up. And we slowly were like, I just reinvest all the money. Like I don't need to, like I got to pay rent, I got to buy groceries, but like
after that, let's go.
I don't like need the, and I'm lucky, like my family, like I'm from New Hampshire, like it's a comfortable environment. I don't need to send money to them to help pay bills or anything. So like I can just do me, and like I have a lot of freedom for that. And Leo the same way. We're really like aware of our privilege, and like so we're like, we better take advantage of it. And like it's the truth. Like we just have to know who we are. So with that knowledge, let's go all in on building something that's for like that inspires people and helps build other people up. But all that to say is like I was like broke. I had no income. Like I just like didn't have money coming in. So eventually, once the YouTube views started going up, I was like, okay, thank God I can finally pay rent. Okay, let's strategically reinvest it into a trip to, okay, we do a video with Max Clark, that'll probably do pretty well, we probably make our money back. And then slowly it's like up and down, wins and losses. The last few videos haven't done that well, and like I've taken a few L's on that, but like those videos live forever, so like you never know when they're going to spike up in viewership. So like I'm proud of that content, I'm proud of the video, and the response was like really positive. So like, all right, nothing I can do, like let's just keep going.
And I like how you talked about the privilege part. Like for me, that's a big thing for me. It's like, man, I have parents that let me go back to my crib for 6 months. Like being aware of that is another layer of motivation too. Like some people, the motivation is the lack of, but sometimes your motivation can be the surplus of support. So that's another thing. We're gonna start ending it off, but is there any last advice you would give to any creatives, people looking to live a life of passion? What would you say to those people?
Dude, like trust your gut is a good one, bro. And again, it's like sounds cliche, but it's like you have to just like do what you want to do. Like you got to have a little bit of like, you got to be a little naive and little just be like, nah, I think I'm going to do what I want to do and go all in on that. Because like, again, I got a lot of friends back home, bro, who are, juniors in college and looking like to go into banking and finance because it's safe and it provides good money. And some people like that. Some people, that's their idea of fun, like, or that's their idea of security, is like, I got a job that'll pay the bills and then I can go have fun outside of my job. For me, and I'm just not like that. Like I recognize that, Leo and I recognize that at young ages, and that's kind of something we would bond over originally. We're like, bro, I cannot work a 9-to-5 job. Not that I think I'm better than it. It's just that like I'm just not meant for that. Like I need to go out and do stuff and use my creativity and use like my drive to reach a broad audience of people. That's just like how I feel about my content and who I'm doing. So like to anyone out there who like you just gotta, first of all, you gotta trust your gut and say like, hey, what do I actually want to do? Let me go all in, or at least like build the steps to go all into that. Like I don't know what that would look like some people, but you just gotta like start and do it. And then once you start doing it, just keep doing it. And like a lot of it's just about not quitting. Like you literally, so much about success is just like, oh, like you failed. Okay. Like you got to keep going. Like you just have to tell yourself like, oh, I'm a person who just keeps going. Not that like this time I'm going to quit, other times I'm going to keep, like, no, you're a person who keeps going no matter what. So a lot of it's just like about having faith and convincing yourself that like, it's going to work out.
Man, that's dope. It's been a great interview. Tell people where to get you, all your platforms. Enjoy the show, your personal, give us everything so they can get a hold of you.
So our brand is Enjoy the Show. It's ETSBSBL on Instagram. That's where we do like a lot of baseball content. We're starting to do a little football with the Colorado stuff, but like that's where it's more like collectively, it's a brand. We have merch and that kind of stuff. My personal brand is DSarm YT on Instagram. So DSarm YouTube. Eventually I'll get at DSarm, hopefully. And YouTube, it's DSarm, DSARM. TikTok, same thing. YouTube's like my favorite platform. So like that's where you'll find like, I think that's like what I'm really capable of. But Instagram's cool too if you want to tap in like with my life and stuff like day to day. But yeah, man, appreciate you having me.
Man, it's been a pleasure. Awesome. Thanks for letting us come to your space, get to know you, man. It's been a pleasure, man. And I'm excited to see the next levels. Again, we're still babies, dude. So,
yeah, right.
Man, I'm just excited to see where we both go.
Dude,
so,
I'm excited for you too, bro. Like you're a dog. Like I see you out here you're doing a lot, bro. Like you're making shit. And I know you know that, but like you're making shit happen. We see it, like we recognize it. So keep
that's
going.
Love, bro. I got you. We ain't stopping. I know you ain't stopping. So in 10 years when we have to do the update on this, we're gonna have to see where we at from here to
It'd be
then.
cool to throw in the clips from this one into
Facts.
that one. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Word.
y'all make sure y'all like and subscribe on the video and check out us on all platforms. Make sure you hit the review button. Is there any other call to actions I need to think of? I don't know, but we'll see y'all next time.
Let's go.
On the Root of Everything podcast. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.